I know you're looking at it. I know you're looking at it. We'll get to it in a moment. We are here to talk about the best available players for the Kansas City Chiefs heading into day 3 of the NFL draft. But real quick, I think it's worth noting that there were reports, there were rumors that the Kansas City Chiefs were interested in Treylon Burks from the Titans. The Titans wanted a 5th-round pick from the Kansas City Chiefs, from whoever, for Treylon Burks, a former first-round wide receiver, but the Chiefs at that time did not have a 5th-round pick. Now they do, so that might be top of mind heading into day 3 of the draft. But here we go. Shedeur Sanders. Should Shedeur Sanders be there with one of the Chiefs' picks in day 3 of the draft? I think it would be worth taking because, no, he's not going to start over Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely not. But Shedeur Sanders is a guy that was probably a first round pick for someone until a lot of drama started. I think that he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't have a whole lot of arm talent. He has a lot of composure. He is able to. He's got the ego is a bad thing from a marketing standpoint for Shedeur Sanders, but you want that guy who's going to step on the field and thinks he's going to make every throw. And I think that the spending a year under the tutelage of Andy Reid behind Patrick Mahomes is the type of thing that could redeem him in the eyes of a lot of the NFL and suddenly make him worth a round 1 pick again. This would be, say they took the 4th-round pick that they have, end of the 4th-round pick for Shedeur Sanders if he's still there, and they flip that to someone who needs a starting quarterback mid-season this year. Next season, when the draft prospects are out there. Now, next year's draft is supposed to be quarterback heavy, but I just want to throw that out there because that is a fun talking point to have. Now, looking at defensive tackles, I think that there are 7 guys who pique my interest here, and I had a lot of, pardon me, comments over the last few hours about Omar Norman Lott and why didn't the Chiefs pick Joshua Farmer or Ty Robinson? And, well, guys, no one else did either. They're still out there. They could be Kansas City Chiefs. Joshua Farmer, 6'3", 305 pounds, out of Florida State. ESPN has him ranked the 76th overall prospect. I don't know that I would have him ranked that high, but he would come in and contribute for the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you have Ty Robinson, 6'5", 288, a very athletic guy, I think, who does need some refinement, but could. This is a guy who I think the Chiefs would put all over their defensive line. And then again, like yesterday, Deon Walker, 6'7", 331, absolute monster of a human being. I would love to see him in the red and gold, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs will likely continue drafting linemen on both sides of the ball today, and I'm not going to complain about it. After the last game we saw from them. Tonka Hemingway, I don't know if I'm all that high on his athleticism, but guys, that is a grade A name. One of the funnest names in the draft. Ty Hamilton out of Ohio State, 6'3", 299. I think he could come in and be a contributor week 1 of the NFL season. Then you have Cam Jackson, another big guy, 6'6", 328, big run-stuffing type defensive tackle. Nazir Stackhouse, 6'4", 327. These are all guys that I think would contribute to the Chiefs this season at probably one of the weakest positions on the team, even after adding Omar Norman Lott. Moving on to cornerback, a couple of names here. Did I skip? Where's my edge? Anyway, cornerback. Quincy Riley. I'm not as high as 86th overall on him, but he is a guy that will be a professional football player. Here is an interesting name. Za Frazier. Following Zion McCollum at that school, And 6'3", another tall corner, 186 pounds. Now, he has a good 40-yard dash. He has a bad 3-cone drill. So that might be what is going to keep him from going very high. But it's a guy that I think Brett Veach would love to draft. Kobe Bryant, a hard-nosed football player out of Kansas, 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. I think that he could contribute. I maybe not this. I made the video earlier on Noel Williams about how stacked the Chiefs cornerback room is right now. They have 6 guys, 5 guys that have starting level stuff and have started in the NFL or for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think Noel Williams is going to be one of those guys as well, but maybe a name or two there worth looking at. Then at edge, who's going to complain if we take another edge? Braden Swenson, another guy that I got some comments about. Well, he might be there in the 4th out of LSU, 6'4", 255. I think that he can contribute. I think that he would be buried this year on the depth chart. I don't know that he offers anything that the Kansas City Chiefs don't have in that room already. Baron Sorrell gets a lot of talk, 6'3", 256 out of Texas. I'm not that high on him. Jack Sawyer, 6'4", 260. Another guy that has some pop getting off the ball. Jared Ivey is still out there. The Kansas City Chiefs might be able to wrap up the 6'6", 274-pound defensive end in round 4. I think that would be a good pick for them. And that's kind of the end as far as I am concerned with edge. So if you want it, Fadil Diggs, I think, is going to be a professional football player, 6'4", 257 out of Syracuse. But I don't know that he contributes this year. Looking at those other names, I think that's about it. So if they wanted to bolster that edge room, that is kind of what you're looking at there. Moving on to wide receiver, Jalen Royals is still out there. Very surprising for me to see Jalen Royals still out there. Not sure what's going on there. We'll move on temporarily. Offensive tackle. Who's going to be mad if the Kansas City Chiefs take another offensive tackle? Certainly not me. Cameron Williams would be a good pick there. I think that he does have starting level stuff. I could see Cameron Williams, if he can improve a couple things, being a big starting left tackle in the NFL. It would take some work to get him there, but I do think he has that type of stuff. I do think he can step on the field. I do think that he might offer versatility inside. I didn't earlier, but I think that I do now think that he could. Logan Brown out of Kansas, another guy that has starting potential. I think that he has potential to start at left tackle, potential to start at right tackle. I do think it will take him a little bit of time to get up to speed at that. Chase Lunt, we talked about him yesterday, 6'8", 304, a guy that is going to take some work. He's going to have to, I think that he's slow. I think that he looks weak. I'm not saying that he is weak. He looks weak. So if you can get him in 6'8", 304, so you're going to want to beef him up a little bit too. I don't know that he offers anything that Ethan Driscoll doesn't. But Ethan Driscoll, I think it was just a value as a UDFA last year. Jalen Travis, this guy is a monster. I think it was Arrowhead Pride had an article on him, 6'8", 339, got a lot of upside here. And I think that if you don't have to play him for a couple years, you could tap into that, and he wouldn't have to play immediately for the Kansas City Chiefs, might not have to play for a couple years for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he would be in trouble at guard because of leverage, but I do think that he has the strength to do that. I do think that he has the mobility to do that. So if he can get, more bend, then he could contribute earlier than a couple years at offensive guard and grow into an offensive tackle. Jack Nelson out of Wisconsin is a guy that I kind of like. I don't know that he's a starter. I think that his ceiling might be swing tackle, 6'7", 314. Braden Crenshaw Dixon, 6'7", 316 out of Florida, does have some starting potential in my opinion. And a long shot down here, Issa Pohl, I'm not quite sure, 6'7", 323 pounds, is a powerful and active offensive tackle. So that would be good. Again, at guard, though, one thing that is surprising here, Marcus Imbo is still out there. Is it Imbo or just Bo? I'm not 100% sure. But he's still out there. He's a starting guard week 1 on a lot of teams in the NFL. And the Chiefs don't need him to start right away. Maybe he could be the left guard for the Chiefs, but that would be a starting level guy that you'd be getting on day 3. Miles Frazier, 6'6", 317. Might offer upside at offensive tackle. Not the fleetest of foot, if memory serves me correctly, but somebody that could contribute out there. Trey Weedig, 6'7", 317, is a guy that I think is a professional football player, so that would be more of the 7th round type stuff. I don't think he offers terribly much potential up there. But again, back to wide receivers. Jalen Royals is still out there. This is a guy that I think contributes somewhere in the NFL right away, very quick, like it says there, 10-yard split, 149. That is an elite 10-yard split time. I'm not terribly high on him, but I do think that he is an NFL player. I do think that he would bring up the floor for the wide receiver room. Torrey Horton is a guy that I've liked for a couple years now. I think he offers starting X-level potential. Maybe it takes him a while to get there. You're looking there at a 4.41 40-yard dash. I think that he would bring up the floor immensely for this wide receiver room, especially adding some size, 6'3", 196, some height at least, maybe not some size, but some height to the room where you've got a lot of small speedsters running around. Elik Eyomanor, again, another starting X-level potential guy. He got a lot of hype earlier in the season. People were saying that he was going to be a 2nd-round pick, got a little bit of 1st-round buzz, and I don't think I ever really saw the 1st-round buzz. I think that he is a 2nd-round value. If you get him in the right offense, he might be able to start X earlier than not. Isaiah Bond out of Texas is an interesting player, 5'11", 180. This is kind of the same that you're looking at with the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you really want to have 7 guys who are 5'11", 180 running around out there? But did run a 4.39 40-yard dash, and I think he is going to be on the field early in his NFL career. I don't know that happens with the Kansas City Chiefs, like I say, because they have a lot of those smaller, very fast guys. But it, again, would bring the floor up for this room. Brew McCoy. I do like Brew McCoy, 6'3", 209, interesting player out of Tennessee. Would be a potential stand-in for Rashee Rice during Rashee Rice's absence. Dante Thornton, very interesting prospect, 6'5", 205 pounds, is a potential. A lot of work you'd have to do there, but get him on the field at the X position and see what he can do. I do know there was some hype around Daquan Felton, 6'5", 213 pounds, out of Virginia Tech. I don't really see it so much. I don't know any of his measurables or times, things like that. Isaiah Nayor out of Nebraska, 6'4", 218, was starting to get some hype. Ricky White III, I liked this prospect, 6'1", 184. I think that he is going to play in the NFL. Some names from around the draft to watch for. Tight end, I don't know what's going on at tight end. Gunnar Helm still out there, 6'5", 241. I don't think any of these guys, looking at it, offer anything that the Kansas City Chiefs don't have already. Interesting name in Oronde Gadsden Jr., interesting guy in Jalen Conyers. But I don't see anything here that the Chiefs would need or anything that would round out the position group for them. Running back, we heard Brett Veach talk about running back in this draft and how deep it was. I'm not a fan of Cam Skattebo. I don't see that game translating to the NFL. Maybe I'm wrong. He's still there in the fourth round, so someone could get a deal if he does translate to the NFL. I just don't see it. Dillon Sampson, 5'8", 200 pounds. I do not want another very small running back. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm an undersized guy myself, so I should have a soft spot for the small running backs of the world, but Devin Neal, a bruiser in college, 5'11", 213 pounds. Would be interesting to see him in the Chiefs offense. I just don't know that they have, I don't know where he fits with the players that the Chiefs already have on the roster. Does have pretty good vision. Like I said yesterday, DJ Giddens reminds me of Damian Williams, so it would be interesting to have that on the field. Taj Brooks would be interesting to have on the team, 5'9", 214. But again, I'm not Rocket Sanders, okay? So size, speed combo that you, not as fast as Isaiah Pacheco, but in my opinion, sort of a similar runner. I don't know that, runs right into people. It's kind of what happens with him. But we will see if he finds success in the NFL. Linebackers, haven't seen the Chiefs touch a linebacker this draft. We might see that happen. The Chiefs are pretty big fans of waiting until after the draft and picking up some value as UDFA from the linebacker position. But when you're looking at this group that's left, obviously Chris Paul Jr., 6'1", 222, he's going to start in the NFL. He is going to start probably as a rookie, depending on where he goes. But again, it is depending on where he goes. Danny Stutzman is a guy that reminds me a lot of Leo Chenal, but I think Leo Chenal has a whole lot of athleticism on Stutzman. I am not sure what his measurables were, but you saw elite measurables out of Leo Chenal, and he's still not able to really get on the field. So really, the day 3 of the NFL draft, you know this as well as I do, it is a crapshoot. We see players fall all the time very deep into the draft once they get past the third round. Teams are really trying to fill holes on their roster. They're trying to find niche players to do specific things, and sometimes that just doesn't work out. And man, oh man, do I want the Kansas City Chiefs to take Shedeur Sanders and be able to flip him for a first-round pick at some point. We have seen what Brett Veach is able to do with multiple first-round picks, Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. And outside of that, guys, it'll be interesting to see what the Chiefs do. They have focused on line. They have focused on defense. Not a single skill position offensive player taken in those first 4 picks. Will they take a wide receiver? It would almost undoubtedly mean the end of Sky Moore. I think there is right now still a chance that Sky Moore hangs on to the roster. I don't want to see that happen. Will the Chiefs, at this point, would you like to see the Kansas City Chiefs trade for Treylon Burks? I think that would be a gamble worth taking. You would add to the wide receiver room. You would add a very high potential wide receiver to the receiver room for a low cost. Now, he's going to cost more money than a lot of these guys, but the Chiefs do have a little bit of space to play with because the draft class isn't going to take them very much money, and they have a $12 million limit right now. So wide receiver, I'd like to see them get a wide receiver, whether that is through a trade for Treylon Burks or whether that is through picking one of these guys. I don't think Jalen Royals falls to them in the 4th round, but I did not think Jalen Royals would be there right now. If Jalen Royals does fall to them in the 4th round and they have to make a decision between Jalen Royals and Treylon Burks, I would take Jalen Royals. But adding Treylon Burks at this point in the draft when you have done so much for the line on both sides of the ball would be kind of icing on the cake. So I would like to see them get a wide receiver one way or another. I would like to see a second offensive tackle taken. Again, I do not have a very good eye for the wide receivers, for the linemen that the Kansas City Chiefs seem to like, but there are some guys out there right now that have starting potential, and seeing them bring in one of them would be good. If you are not sold on your offensive guard prospects for that left guard spot, again, Marcus Mbo is I think you could, if you're not sold on what it is that Kingsley Suamataia could be at offensive guard, then Marcus Mbo is definitely a guy that could start for the Chiefs probably week 1, snap 1, and is a little bit more athletic, is not a road grader in the run blocking game, and that's where we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs trend, right? Guys that can really clear the path for a running back. So this would be a different call than that. But anyway, guys, I would like to see some offensive players on day 3 of the draft. The Chiefs have a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick, and 3 7th round picks. So one other thing we might see is the Kansas City Chiefs have done a lot of work shoring up needs prior to the draft, and they have a host of picks, 5 picks on day 3 of the draft, players that would not likely, most of them, come in and contribute immediately. A lot of them might not contribute in their first year, and some of these guys would not be guaranteed to make the roster, right? So do they consider at this point mortgaging some of these picks for picks next year? The kind of loose translation that you get is a 5th rounder this year is worth a 4th rounder next year. A 6th rounder this year is worth a 5th rounder next year, right? So you try to trade up one round in the draft because you don't know whose pick is going to be where. So we could see that. We could see the Chiefs mortgaging off a 7th rounder here or there for a 6th rounder next year, etc. Remember, they lost their 4th round pick trading up to get Noel Williams. So they do have a deficit heading into next year's draft already. Is Brett Veach counting on some of these free agents leaving from that 2022 class, giving them compensatory picks? That is some of the calculus that a guy like Brett Veach has been seen to do. Also do you think you can get a 7th round pick out of Sky Moore? Do you think you can package a 7th round pick and Sky Moore for a 6th round pick? We might start to see some of that math being done too. You have Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Najee Johnson, guys with starting potential, with starting reps for the Kansas City Chiefs, but are now probably buried on a depth chart. I think Jalen Watson is cornerback number 3 this year. I think that the defense Spagnuolo and Brett Veach would love to go into this season with a 4 starting corner quadruple of Trent McDuffie, Christian Fulton, Jalen Watson, Noel Williams. And then after that, Joshua Williams started last year as the prohibitive favorite over Jalen Watson for some reason, and then fell out of favor during the season, and then fell out of favor even to Najee Johnson as the season went on. So those guys could be shipped out if there's something that the Kansas City Chiefs want in the draft and someone is willing to take them. But that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.